No one tells you this about Stoicism. The stronger your mind becomes, the quieter your life feels. Most men don't lose because life is unfair. They lose because their mind is never trained to face reality. They react too quickly, attach their worth to other people's behavior, and try to control things that were never theirs to control. When someone pulls away, when plans fall apart, when silence replaces connection, they begin to question themselves instead of strengthening themselves. Stoicism offers a different path. Not loud motivation, not empty positivity, but a quiet discipline that reshapes the way you think and respond. Real strength does not come from controlling the world. It comes from mastering your own reactions. And the moment you understand this, something begins to shift inside you. Most people live as if stability comes from outside approval. They want reassurance, certainty, and permanent outcomes. But life constantly moves, constantly changes, and constantly challenges expectations. When you try to force permanence into an unpredictable world, frustration becomes inevitable. The Stoics believed that suffering grows from this illusion of control. You expect people to stay the same, circumstances to remain stable, and emotions to feel consistent. But reality rarely behaves that way. The moment you accept that uncertainty is natural, your mind begins to relax. You stop chasing guarantees and start building resilience. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful leaders in history, wrote personal reflections reminding himself that he could not control the actions of others. Even as an emperor, he faced betrayal, criticism, and loss. Yet his writings show a mind that refused to collapse under pressure. He understood that emotional stability comes from focusing inward. Instead of asking why the world behaves unpredictably, he trained himself to respond with clarity. This shift is not easy. It requires honesty. It requires you to admit that many of your frustrations come from expectations that reality never promised to fulfill. Think about how often your mood depends on someone else's reaction. A delayed reply changes your confidence. A small misunderstanding changes your energy. A single negative comment can shape your entire day. These moments reveal how easily attention moves away from self-control and toward external validation. Stoicism teaches you to reverse that pattern. Instead of measuring your worth through someone else's response, you measure it through your own behavior. Did you act with integrity? Did you remain calm when emotions rose? Did you choose patience instead of impulse? These questions shift power back into your hands. Discipline becomes the foundation of this mindset. Motivation fades quickly, but discipline continues quietly. It shows up in small choices that nobody sees. Waking up when you promised yourself you would. Finishing tasks when distractions feel easier. Speaking less and observing more. These actions seem simple, yet they build a mind that trusts itself. And self-trust creates a calm confidence that does not depend on outside approval. The Stoics believed that consistency is more powerful than intensity. You do not need dramatic change overnight. You need steady action repeated daily. Emotions still exist within this philosophy. Stoicism does not ask you to become cold or detached from humanity. It asks you to observe your emotions without surrendering control to them. Anger, sadness, excitement, and fear are natural signals, but they do not have to dictate your decisions. When you learn to pause before reacting, you create space for clarity. That pause might be only a few seconds long, but it changes everything. Instead of speaking from frustration, you respond from intention. Instead of spiraling into overthinking, you remain grounded in the present moment. Silence becomes an important part of this transformation. Many people feel uncomfortable with quiet moments because they associate silence with weakness. But Stoic thinkers valued silence as a tool for understanding. When you stop explaining yourself constantly, you begin listening more carefully. You notice patterns in your thoughts. You recognize how often you react simply to fill space. Over time, your presence becomes calmer. People sense a difference not because you demand attention, but because you carry yourself with steadiness. Another important realization is the acceptance of impermanence. Everything changes. Relationships shift, goals evolve, and even personal identity transforms over time. Much of emotional suffering comes from resisting this truth. You hold on to expectations as if they are permanent, and when reality moves forward, you feel left behind. Stoicism encourages you to appreciate moments without demanding that they remain forever. This perspective does not remove attachment, but it softens the fear of loss. You begin to see experiences as temporary chapters rather than fixed definitions of your life. Growth also requires stepping toward discomfort intentionally. Most people avoid situations that challenge their identity or confidence. They delay difficult conversations, avoid unfamiliar opportunities, and remain within routines that feel safe. But the Stoics believed that voluntary hardship strengthens resilience. Each time you choose action over avoidance, you expand your ability to handle uncertainty. Confidence grows quietly through repeated exposure to challenge. It is not built through comfort, but through courage practiced daily. As your mindset begins to shift, your attention becomes more focused. You stop giving energy to every distraction, every argument, and every fleeting opinion. The modern world constantly demands your attention, pulling you in different directions. Stoicism teaches you to protect that attention like a fortress. Not every situation deserves your reaction. Not every thought deserves belief. When you choose where your focus goes, you regain control of your emotional world. And gradually, you begin to feel a sense of stability that does not depend on circumstances staying perfect. Over time, you begin to notice that the real battle was never outside of you. It was always inside your own thoughts. The world continues moving the way it always has, unpredictable, shifting, sometimes unfair, but your response to it starts to change. You no longer rush to defend yourself when someone misunderstands you. You no longer feel the same urgency to prove your worth through constant action or explanation. Instead, you slow down, you observe more, and in that space between reaction and response, you discover a kind of quiet authority that feels unfamiliar at first, but deeply grounding. One of the hardest lessons to accept is that identity is not something you think your way into. It is something you act your way into. Many people wait until they feel confident before they begin changing their habits. They tell themselves they will become disciplined once they feel ready, or they will become calm once life becomes easier. Stoicism reverses this completely. You act calm before you feel calm. You act disciplined before you feel motivated. And slowly, through repetition, your identity begins to align with your actions. Each small promise you keep strengthens your self-image. Each moment of restraint becomes evidence that you are capable of guiding your own mind. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that you do not argue about what a good person looks like. You become one through behavior. This idea feels simple, but it carries weight. When you stop debating who you want to be and begin living as that person daily, doubt loses its power. You no longer need constant reassurance because your actions provide proof of your growth. And as your identity stabilizes, external opinions begin to matter less. Criticism feels lighter. Praise feels quieter. You remain steady because your sense of self no longer depends on how others respond to you. Another part of the Stoic mindset is learning to detach strategically from noise. Detachment does not mean isolation from life. It means choosing carefully what you allow to shape your thoughts. In a world filled with constant information, endless comparison, and emotional overload, your attention becomes one of your most valuable resources. Every time you give your focus to unnecessary drama, you weaken your clarity. Every time you step away from distraction, you strengthen your inner calm. The Stoics believed that solitude was not loneliness, but a way to reconnect with reason. Moments of quiet reflection help you hear your own voice instead of absorbing everyone else's expectations. As you practice this mindset, something subtle begins to happen. You start to feel less rushed. Situations that once triggered anxiety now feel manageable. You still experience emotion, but it no longer overwhelms you. Instead of trying to escape discomfort, you learn to stand within it. This does not mean life becomes easy. Challenges still appear, people still change, circumstances still shift unexpectedly, but your relationship with those events transforms. You stop seeing difficulty as a threat and begin seeing it as a test of your discipline. The Stoics believed that strength grows through repeated exposure to reality, not through avoidance of it. Each time you face something difficult without losing balance, you build resilience. Over time, that resilience becomes part of your identity. You walk differently. You speak more intentionally. Your presence carries a sense of calm that others notice even when you say nothing at all. And the most surprising part is that this calm does not come from controlling the world.
millennia.
It comes from releasing the need to control it. This dark Stoic mindset does not promise constant happiness. It promises clarity. It teaches you to see situations as they are instead of how you wish they would be. When you accept that everything is temporary, your fear of loss softens. When you focus on what you can control, your anxiety decreases. When you guard your attention, your thoughts become lighter. These shifts may seem small individually, but together they reshape the way you experience life. You begin to understand that peace is not found in perfect circumstances. It is built through disciplined thinking. Each moment of patience becomes a brick in your inner foundation. Each calm response strengthens your ability to remain steady in uncertainty. And gradually, you stop waiting for life to become predictable. You become adaptable instead. This adaptability is what makes the Stoic mindset powerful. It does not protect you from change, but it prepares you to meet change without losing yourself. As you continue forward, remember that progress will feel slow at times. Some days you will fall back into old patterns. Some moments you will react faster than you intended. That is part of the process. Stoicism is not about perfection. It is about returning to awareness again and again. Every time you notice your thoughts drifting into frustration or fear, you have another opportunity to choose clarity. Over time, these choices accumulate, and one day you realize that the mindset you once struggled to understand has quietly become part of who you are. You stop seeking control outside yourself. You stop measuring your worth through fleeting reactions. You stop clinging to moments as if they define your entire future. Instead, you move forward with a steadiness that feels both calm and strong. And in that steadiness, you discover something deeper than motivation. A quiet confidence that does not need to be announced. And as this quiet confidence grows, you begin to see the world differently. Situations that once felt overwhelming now appear smaller, almost distant, as if you're watching them from a higher place within yourself. You still care. You still feel deeply, but you are no longer pulled in every direction by every change in circumstance. The Stoic mindset slowly reshapes your relationship with struggle. Instead of asking why life keeps testing you, you begin to see each challenge as a moment that reveals how far you've come. There is a subtle strength in realizing that not every reaction deserves your energy. Most conflicts lose power the moment you stop feeding them with emotion. When someone misunderstands you, silence can sometimes carry more dignity than endless explanation. When expectations collapse, acceptance can bring more clarity than resistance. This is not about avoiding life. It is about moving through it with intention rather than impulse. Over time, your thoughts become less crowded. You begin to notice how much of your previous stress came from overthinking situations that were never fully within your control. One of the deepest changes happens when you stop chasing certainty. Many people spend years trying to secure guarantees. Guarantees in relationships, guarantees in success, guarantees in how they will be seen by others. But life rarely offers certainty. Stoicism teaches you to find stability not in predictable outcomes but in consistent character. When your actions align with your values, uncertainty feels less threatening. You realize that even if circumstances shift, you remain capable of responding with integrity. That realization becomes a source of calm strength that does not fade easily. As you continue practicing this mindset, you may notice that your emotional world becomes quieter, not empty, just calmer. Thoughts that once felt urgent lose their intensity. You begin to pause naturally before reacting. This pause is powerful because it allows reason to guide emotion instead of the other way around. It creates space for thoughtful responses instead of automatic reactions. And within that space, you start to understand yourself more clearly. You recognize patterns in how you think, how you interpret events, and how your expectations shape your experience of reality. Another transformation comes from redefining what success means. Instead of measuring success through constant validation or external recognition, you begin measuring it through self-mastery. Did you remain calm during a difficult conversation? Did you act according to your principles even when it felt uncomfortable? Did you protect your attention instead of letting distraction consume you? These quiet victories become more meaningful than temporary praise. They build a sense of self. Respect that feels stable because it comes from your own choices rather than the opinions of others. The Stoic mindset also encourages gratitude without attachment. You appreciate people and experiences while understanding that nothing is permanent. This perspective removes the pressure to hold on to every moment as if it must last forever. You begin to enjoy presence instead of fearing loss. And strangely, this makes relationships feel lighter and more genuine. When you stop trying to secure someone's presence through control or expectation, your interactions become more authentic. You listen more deeply. You react less defensively. You allow connection to exist naturally rather than forcing it into a fixed shape. There will still be moments when old habits try to return, moments when impatience rises or when doubt whispers louder than clarity. The Stoics never claimed that discipline removes struggle completely. Instead, they believed that awareness transforms how you move through struggle. Each time you notice yourself slipping back into reaction, you have another chance to choose differently. That is the essence of growth, not perfection, but continuous return to awareness. Over time, these small returns create a powerful shift in identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who is easily shaken. You begin to see yourself as someone who adapts, learns, and continues forward. As your perspective expands, you start recognizing how vast life truly is. Moments that once felt like the center of your world begin to feel like chapters rather than conclusions. You remember past experiences that once seemed unbearable, yet they eventually faded into memory. This realization softens your attachment to current struggles. You understand that time moves forward regardless of how tightly you hold onto a moment. And instead of fearing that movement, you begin to trust it. You trust that change, even when uncomfortable, often carries growth within it. There is also a quiet freedom in letting go of constant comparison. The Stoic mindset shifts your focus away from measuring your journey against others. You stop asking whether you are ahead or behind. You begin asking whether you are aligned with your own values. This inward focus creates a sense of peace that external success alone cannot provide. You become less reactive to trends, less influenced by fleeting opinions, and more grounded in what truly matters to you. Your direction becomes clearer because it comes from internal clarity rather than external pressure. Eventually, you realize that the dark Stoic mindset is not about becoming distant from life. It is about becoming fully present within it. You feel deeply, but you are not consumed by every emotion. You care about others, but you do not lose yourself in their reactions. You face uncertainty, but you no longer see it as a threat to your identity. Instead, it becomes a reminder that growth is continuous and that stability comes from within. And in that moment of realization, something settles inside you. The need to control every outcome fades. The urge to prove yourself constantly begins to disappear. You start moving through life with a quieter rhythm, steady, intentional, and grounded. Challenges still appear, but they no longer define your state of mind. Your calm becomes a reflection of your discipline, not of perfect circumstances. This is where the real transformation begins, not in dramatic change, but in subtle shifts that reshape how you experience every moment. You begin to see that strength is not loud or aggressive. It is consistent. It is patient. It is the ability to remain centered while everything else continues to move. And once you understand this, the Stoic mindset stops feeling like a philosophy you study and starts feeling like a way you live.